This is a warning surrounding the ATF's recent pistol brace ruling and the fact that there are millions of Americans all over the country right now that are going to be engaged in felonious acts very soon here without any knowledge of it. We have to understand that 90% of gun owners who have pistol-braced firearms right now probably have no idea that any of these rule changes are happening. Unless you're on the internet quite a bit and you're involved in social media when it comes to gun rights or pro-2A communities, you probably don't have any idea that this stuff is happening. And a lot of these people bought firearms with braces attached to them upwards of 10 years ago and have been using them legally ever since. And I'm concerned about this situation because, at least in my local classifieds, as well as in my local community, people are engaging in acts that are going to be considered very serious crimes here in the near future. And this is why we need to share this information with as many people as we can, because it's not just about people in this community, it's about people who have no idea that the thing they bought legally is suddenly going to make them a felon and possibly make them face prison time as well as huge fines up to $250,000. Now, really quickly, I need to mention that this channel is fully supported by Midway USA, and they support what I do here, and I appreciate that they're a very pro-2A company, and we need to support pro-2A organizations and companies right now because of what's going on. We should be supporting them anyway, but I do want to say thank you to Midway USA for making a lot of this possible. Either way, here's what's going on that we need to make sure people are aware of, and this is why I'm trying to put this warning out there. All over my local classifieds right now, there's a huge influx of braced firearms being sold or traded because people are either not sure if they're going to maintain value, not sure if they're going to be able to legally continue to own them, or they're just doing business as usual because they have no idea any of this is happening. And this doesn't sound like a big deal, right? Because, well, all these people legally own these firearms, and now they're just selling them and trading them as usual, so what's the big deal? The big deal is as soon as this ruling hits the register, at least to my knowledge, I'm not a lawyer, so don't hold me to any legalese here. I'm just a layman trying to explain this the best way I can, and I'm concerned about these activities right now. Once this hits the Federal Register, we get our 120-day amnesty period to register all our braces and stuff and make sure everything's legal, right? And I'm not trying to tell you to comply or not comply or anything like that. I'm worried about the people who have no idea this is happening, and I'm worried about what it is they're about to be doing in the sense of committing a crime, okay? As soon as these braces are considered to no longer be braces and the firearms that they're attached to are now considered to be SBRs, everyone on the local classifieds page who is selling a firearm with a brace and everybody who's trying to trade a firearm with a brace on it is now trying to sell or trade an NFA regulated item without going through the proper channels. And once you start doing those things, you start breaking a lot of rules and a lot of laws, and you find yourself committing felonies very easily. And yet many of these people will have no idea that that's what they're doing. They're just trying their best to deal with, I don't know, inflation and a downturning economy. So you see a lot of these firearms up on the marketplace. And the issue is that as soon as one of these people sells one of these firearms with a brace attached to it, and the ATF deems that firearm to now be an SBR that is not registered, well, they didn't go through the proper channels, they didn't ask for their permission, they don't even have a tax stamp. They're selling an NFA regulated item illegally through backdoor channels, basically, right? And that can lead you into up to 10 years of prison time, because prison is a thing, I guess, having a $250,000 fine. It can cause your equipment, your firearms, or whatever else it is to be forfeited and obviously confiscated by the ATF. There's a lot of things here that could happen to somebody who's doing something that they have no idea is wrong or illegal. So, regardless of the 120-day amnesty period, regardless of the braces or the registry or any of that other stuff, be very careful about what you're doing right now in the sense of selling firearms that have braces attached to them, or trying to trade firearms with braces attached to them, or even just trying to sell the braces, because in the ruling, it does very much seem that selling the brace to someone else isn't necessarily an option. It kind of tells you you're supposed to either destroy it or make it so it's no longer usable, which don't get at me. I don't agree with any of this crap. That's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is that it doesn't necessarily seem like they're trying to let people just sell the braces to other people, right? And then if those people have braces and they have firearms that could be considered SBRs because now they own a brace, well, you basically just passed your felony off to somebody else. So please be very careful about what you're doing right now, especially online, by posting photos and listings of these firearms with these braces attached and everything else and trying to sell what could easily very soon here be considered an SBR of some kind. And now you're selling NFA regulated items illegally, and you're committing a felony, and you're gonna find yourself in prison or with a $250,000 fine, and you're gonna lose your own property. And there's a lot of other things that could happen too, don't get me wrong. Now, is it possible that the ATF might not look at these people or try to prosecute or anything because of all the confusion and everything else? I don't know, but I don't trust them to just make the right decision, do you? What I will say is that we're going to have a lot of confused people committing crimes without even realizing it, and we're going to have a lot of issues coming up from this whole thing, because I don't think ignorance is necessarily a get out of jail free card when it comes to committing crimes, right? I don't think that's worked very well for those who have actually been ignorant of the crimes they've been committing and then literally been convicted of, right? That doesn't seem to work out very well very often. But I will say that I would assume the ATF should have some due diligence to make everyone as aware as possible about these rules. But since they're not allowed to have a firearms registry, which we don't want them to have, even though they likely already do, how are they going to contact everybody who is affected by this ruling? And so if they don't send out pamphlets and flyers to every single household, and they don't have certified mail going out to every single household that says, yes, I received this information and I now am aware of the fact that I could be possibly committing a felony, how are they going to say that people did this intentionally? There's going to be a lot of interesting stuff coming out of this whole debacle. But be patient, don't freak out, don't panic about it, but please let people know what's happening, because as of right now, I can tell you I've reached out to people. I've reached out to my local classifieds. I've reached out to my local representatives and all kinds of people in my area, because I'm trying to make as much awareness about that as I can, just because I don't want to see good people who are generally law-abiding that bought legal items years ago suddenly find themselves in jail because what they did, they had no idea was illegal. And that's a big concern. So I wanted to put out this video. Let's just keep being patient, see how this thing unfolds, and then make the best decisions we can once we have all of the information. But there's a lot of things that are very confusing. There's a lot of misleading stuff going on right now, and I don't think we should just jump on top of whatever we're being told right off the bat. Let's see how some of this unfolds and take our time before making any decisions regarding this whole situation. But we definitely want to try to protect those people within our community who don't know any better, right? So please let those people know. Share this video if that helps. I would appreciate it. And besides that, that's going to be it for Magic Prepper.